Have you ever looked back on your life and wondered, what if I had stayed in that course, in that job, that relationship, that state, that city? You imagine this entire alternative life where everything about your surroundings, the people you know, it's all different. Maybe it's better, I don't know. The thought of actually going through with some of our greatest desires and wishes, it's scary because we know there's a lot of risk. And anytime you risk, you could lose. Then we look at somebody who did stay in the degree program, got accepted to their dream school, and you know that they worked really, really hard. Maybe they immigrated. Maybe they took it all the way to the top and now they have a really great job. And a little part of you is stinging a little bit, maybe, with jealousy, but you're happy for them. Because you know that there's a lot that you don't see. And that's their life. And you reflect on yours a bit more. You think, well, I've done all right. It's not the best. It's not the worst. Somewhere right in the middle. You can't really knock that. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you do look at those people and there was something in them that wasn't in you. Have you ever wondered what that was? Well, I can't speak for everybody. I'm one of those people that after a few false starts, I finally found what I really enjoyed, what I was good at. And I decided to always take it to the next level until I couldn't do it anymore. And this kind of grit, if you could call it that, has taken me all the way through PhD. I'm very proud of that. There's a lot of risk, of course, and obviously the years, 5 years, and the cost, and the energy. I did move to another country from America. And I had to adjust to totally new surroundings on my own. And of course I made new friends over here. And everything about my life has changed. And when I go to bed at night, I often dream that I am back in that other life. And I wonder if that's some kind of alternative life running in real time, parallel to the one I actually live. Because when I wake up in the morning, I have to remind myself where I actually am. No, I'm not back in Tennessee. No, I'm not back somewhere. It takes a moment for it to kind of sink in again. But then, of course, I get up and have my coffee and get on with my day like any other. But I can give you a little bit of perspective from one of those people that actually did what they wanted to do. There was something in me that would not let me quit once I started to make real progress in something I was good at. Because I did have 2 big flops. I thought, okay, I could do well in this. I had examples, role models, and people believed in me, invested in me, and I quit. I think one thing that helped me was that I didn't I think one thing that helped me was that when I did quit or fail in my own eyes, I viewed it as something that made sense, and I was willing to cut my losses, and the time and energy that I already sank and spent into the previous pursuit was gone. And it was gone no matter what. And I quickly would move on to something else. I think this quality, this perspective, may have had a big influence on the stick-to-itiveness that I later developed. Because after those false starts, I was 23, and I didn't really have anything to show for myself. Oh, sorry, no, I was 25. But again, just start over. Salvage what can be salvaged, like college credits and all that. And I put it towards something else. And I discovered that this new thing, economics, I was good at it. And I moved to a different state, and I finished my undergraduate degrees. I was really happy and proud of that. And I felt like, for the first time in my adult life, I really had something to celebrate that I did, that took my own personal efforts, that had nothing to do with family or anything like that. This was my own thing. And as a reward, I went to Europe. And I think my lifelong desire to return to Europe, because I was born in Europe, even though I'm American, always have been. I was born in Italy. I think I also like to reconnect with things that I wanted to do or that I loved when I was a child and a teenager. You know. Something that for most people, or for a lot of people, would have been a once-in-a-lifetime kind of a blowout deal, for me only planted a new seed. I had already decided that I wanted to do grad school, and I wanted to get a master's in economics. Because I was on a good standing with one of my professors, I asked if I could audit his master's course in macroeconomics, and he said yes. I didn't. I asked if I could take it. That's right. And he let me. So I had one class already under my belt when I began later that fall. I think having the 4-year degrees, for whatever reason, I felt like I wasn't done. I wanted to be a real economist, and in my mind that meant more education. I had to have a master's degree. That fall, even to this day, in terms of any kind of intellectual work I've ever done, that was the most grueling, blistering, difficult, mind-numbing semester I've ever had. Very much a trial by fire. And I remember I did not do as well as I wanted on my midterm exam in one of my classes. And in a moment of, well, not my finest hour. I basically sobbed to the professor about the money and time and commitment I had made, and here I was blowing it. And I remember seeing the respect drain out of his eyes. And I think that stung me in a way that I would never let that happen again. No matter how long it took. So I moved on to the next semester and I finished the first year. Moved on to the third semester, and at the end of that semester, I moved to another state. And it took an extra year. For a 2-year program, it took me 3 to finish. It was very much a slow crawl, where every little bit had to be fought for or chased down, from the transcripts to turning in work to having an incomplete turned into an actual grade. But bit by bit it got done. I've known some people that they get very close to finishing and then they don't finish. Like that's enough for them. And I think there's probably some merit in that. They don't have to kind of bother with the loose ends. But of course, by this time, I had been waffling about doing a PhD, and I finally decided, okay, I'm going to apply to 5 schools. 4 in the UK, 1 in the US. If I got into even one British school, then I wouldn't do the American one. As it happened, I withdrew my application from one British school. The other said yes, and the American school said yes. Of course, by the time I got my first yes, my decision was made. And from finishing the last bit of the master's degree to actually moving out here took several months. And I had to wait and wait and wait on transcripts and degrees to come in the mail. Do the immigration paperwork, I had to wait on that. It was all just every little piece of paper I had to chase down and send off and wait for a reply. This, I think, is where a lot of the patience was enhanced in my life. Finally, I move out to the UK. And within a couple months, I nearly quit. But there was that little bug in me that just wouldn't let me. Not when I came this far. Now I really would lose a lot. And I can look back and I know the reason why I nearly quit was because I was depressed. But that's something that I could now try to get a handle on too. So in the 4.5 years since, I would go home on holiday and come back. I would keep going, even through really bad meetings, months of no progress, episodes of depression. I just keep going because I didn't know what else to do. And I also, during this time, decided to revisit another one of my childhood passions, which is foreign language. Something else that I had picked up and dropped many times along the way. But this time, I didn't quit with that either. And if you just keep going and make these things habit, or you just don't know what else to do with yourself, eventually, you start to see some real progress. And it kind of adds up over the years. So even though I went back to university to get this wouldn't even be a university, a 2-year degree, a trade school, I ended up with university degrees, a master's degree, and almost now a PhD. And I don't know what's next, but something must be next. I am one of those people that does a more difficult or higher thing because it's next. I would bet some good money that some of the people that you've met did the seemingly incredible things they've done because it was next. They didn't know when to quit, or they did know when to quit. It's like that song, The Gambler. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em. Well, I definitely knew when to run. And yeah, the way I look at it now, I think I had enough foresight to know that the thing I was doing and wanted to quit doing was not going to turn out that great for me. And I would rather lose a few years of false starts and quote-unquote failures than to dedicate myself to being a mediocrity in that area. The military was one thing. I did a ROTC. I would have been mediocre. I didn't like it. When I quit, it was a relief. I didn't invest too much in it, but the way I saw it was, at my best, I could only run so fast. And it was only going to get worse through the years, because it's graded by age, but, you know, this was my peak condition. I just wasn't fast. And I guess I had to have an honest recounting and a reckoning with myself. And if I was going to be anything, I didn't want to be mediocre. Now, I'm not saying that people that do not pursue more difficult or, kind of go up the hierarchy or the ladder or whatever are mediocre. What I'm saying is, a lot of people know when to quit because it's right for them. I knew when to quit some things because it was right for me. In my alternative life, maybe, I don't know, I would have been working in the private sector for 6 or 7 years now. Maybe I would have struggled to find my footing until I got a job that was right. But until then, I am very reluctant to kind of release one rope until I've grabbed another. I do have an innate desire to excel. But yes, this comes with risk, it comes with costs. It can be very isolating. The more I learn, the sharper the skills, the more I progress. That is time that I didn't spend with another person or doing an activity that others enjoy doing or even I enjoy doing. So yeah, there's a lot people don't see. And I have to wait a very long time in between real, concrete results, achievements that I can show somebody on paper. I'm okay with that. That suits me and who I am and the kind of things in life I enjoy doing. And there's someone else I'm sure that would look at me and they're probably glad they don't live my life, but they're happy for me. These are the kind of people I notice who are always there to support. And I enjoy watching, seeing what people are doing with their lives. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing. But if they're happy, they're thriving, or they're trying,